Excelente. Muy blah, blah, blah. Chat, so here's something I saw today. First of all, today's Remy Day, if you didn't know. Today is Remilia Day, 7/9. That's pretty cool. Also, apparently, some website started selling Dormy pillows, and they have topped the charts on sales. So that was cool. So that's a real thing. Well, I say a real thing. And that was an advertisement in ACI. What is it? ACI? No. AFI EU. That's it. Alternative Facts in Eastern Utopia. It was a little ad column in Aya's tabloid for Dorami's Sweet Sweet Pillows. And as you know, I made a parody of that. I made a parody of that for the November stream last year. And, well, now it's a real product you can buy. Now it's a real product. Dorami did it. Dorami did it. Anyway, you know where we're at. We're at, what do you call it? I've zoomed out. Let me just... Perfect. There you go. So you're not really going to see much on the screen. As you know, I'm going to be reading things off on the side. You're going to have to listen up. Because we're starting with Murasa, halfway through the UFO cast. And let me tell you something. Murasa has a lot of text in here. So get ready. Is everybody ready? Here we go. The Stage 4 boss, the ghost of the shipwreck accident. Minamitsu Murasa. Species, ship phantom. Ability, causing shipwrecks. The spirit of a human who fell off a ship and drowned in the distant past. Due to her lingering attachment to this world, she was bound to the ocean and spent her days capsizing passing ships. Humans feared her. Their fears turned her into a yokai, and over time her ability to act freely was getting more and more restricted. People called her Murasa based on her original name, and so one day she reached a turning point. A Buddhist priest who had been asked to vanquish Murasa appeared. It was everything she'd wished for, too. She didn't think she could expand her power of fear as a yokai just by sinking ships with normal humans on them anymore. The monk that appeared was apparently very well known. Her status as a yokai would surely rise if she could sink the ship the monk was on. If I succeed, she thought, maybe I could even free myself from this cursed ocean and attack the humans. A few days later, the ship bearing the monk who'd come to defeat her approached. There were a few other humans besides the monk on that ship. She thought she'd use all of her strength to threaten them. She thought she'd use all her strength to destroy the monk's Buddhist powers. But contrary to her expectations, the monk was completely defenseless. She got no response from her beyond that of a normal human. Before she knew it, the ship was sunk, and all of the people on it were flung into the sea. This discouraged her. There was no pride to be taken in defeating someone so powerless, as she thought that an unbelievable spectacle unfolded before her. The monk was floating above the ocean. She's riding a shining boat, and it's not the one I just capsized. In fact, that's the ship that I rode in so long ago. You were looking for this ship, right? That's why you sunk all the other ships. The monk had made the shining ship using her own powers. That ship! Ah, how nostalgic. But why? A yokai like her was much more afraid of spiritual attacks than swords or arrows. The monk knew this very well. The ship that brought us here was sunk in a shipwreck. I've used my powers to make a new ship, but this is a very special ship. There's no one that can captain it. The monk extended her hand out to me, into the oceans to which I was bound. But you can captain this ship. And with those words, she was able to leave these cursed oceans behind. A few decades passed. Byakuren, the yokai savior, had been captured and sealed by humans. At the same time, anything related to Byakuren was buried deep beneath the earth. Murasa, too, had been buried deep beneath the earth with a flying storehouse. She never imagined she would be sent flying back above ground by a geyser. And so she swears an oath, now it's my turn to rescue Byakuren. Yes, aboard the ship that she created. So there's your lore. So, yeah, Murasa's Omake text is how she met Byakuren. Byakuren resurrected her ship, brought it back. Was like, yo, this is yours now. And Murasa's like, yo, real shit? Amazing. Amazing. Now, let's see. Now the question is, where does that fall under? That's a... You know what that is? I don't know. Does that count for character lore? It's got to count for character lore because it's, yeah, she's a spirit. She's a spirit of a human who drowned and could not leave. She was trapped in the ocean and she started sinking boats and she became a yokai based. Yeah, I'm gonna put her in the. I'm putting her in the character universe and lore tier. I do think that she's on the stronger end of cool universe lore, but I think the fact that it explains who she was, what she's doing, and like how her fate turned her to what she is. Like, there's character lore in there. There's enough character lore in to put both, but there's definitely a lot of universe lore here because, as I said, it explains how Byakuren and Murasa met. And it's actually a cool story because it's a story that you never get anywhere but the Omake text for some reason. Now, next up, Chot, is Toramaru Show. I'm sure this should be good. Here we go. That's big. It's not as big as Murasa's, though. The Stage 5 boss, the disciple of Bishamonten, Sho Toramaru. Species Yokai, ability gathering treasures. A yokai representing good fortune. Byakuren, long a devotee of Bishamonten, thought to call him to her temple, but the god was very busy and was almost never there. Byakuren realized that the yokai near the temple had been afraid. It seems that they feared Bishamonten. Perhaps they thought they would be exterminated. With Bishamonten too busy to visit the temple, and the yokai too scared to approach it, Byakuren hatched a clever plan. She introduced to Bishamonten the yokai of the most honest and upright character on the mountain, and had that yokai gather faith in his stead. The one so chosen was Sho. She was a yokai in the form of a tiger and the most trusted yokai on the mountain. The busy Bishamonten did not deny her his discipleship. However, she hadn't yet earned the god's full confidence, and Bishamonten sent his henchmouse, Nazarin, to keep watch on her. But contrary to Bishamonten's concerns, Sho caused no problems whatsoever. She proved to be an excellent servant, but she was perhaps too excellent. When Byakuren was sealed away, Sho dutifully carried out all of her duties in Bishamonten's service without causing any disturbance. She kept it a secret from the humans that she was a yokai. She had her regrets about this, but revealing her true identity would have been suicidal. During the few hundred centuries following Byakuren's disappearance, the temple fell in ruin, and her companions, who had been sealed away into the depths of the earth, made their return. Sho was tired of her regrets. She would not run away. She told Murasa and the others how to lift the seal. She was a yokai, after all. She wanted to put all her power into bringing Byakuren back. To break the seal, we'll need the power of Byakuren's brother, Myoren. All that's left was her flying warehouse and the floating treasures. Murasa, let's take the ship and go look for it. The henchmouse. Alright. So yeah, that's more backstory for Sho. I actually really enjoy the Myoden Temple's like backstory for how they met. So yeah, I've mentioned a lot of this stuff before. This is stuff I knew about the UFO crew. But yeah, Sho didn't really do anything. Sho didn't do anything to prevent Byakuren from being sealed away. She didn't speak up or anything, and she lived her lives decades after the fact with regret. So when the opportunity arisen, whatever, for her to bring Byakuren back, she jumped at the chance. So yeah, there's not really much about Sho there, unfortunately. That's it. To be honest, I think this is one of those moments where shit goes into cool universe lore. Because the only thing in there about Sho herself is that she is honest and upright. And she never caused problems. But there's very little on her aside from just hearing that the mountain yokai respected her. It's more so the origin of Sho as an avatar of Bishamonten. It's even got a little bit of why Nazarin is around. So if you didn't know, I'm sure some people didn't know this, but Nazarin does not necessarily work for Sho. They're often paired in a master-servant relationship, but Nazarin works for Bishamonten, and she's kind of like a watchdog, or I guess watchmouse, henchmouse, if you will, to keep an eye on Sho. But they have a good dynamic, and people like to pair them up and have fun with them when the few times that you see Sho in anything. That's also why Nazarin tends to be a little more aggressive, hostile, or sassy to Sho. is because is for this reason, because she is affiliated with Sho, but she's works for she works for Sho's boss effectively. So they're more so co-workers than anything. But they oftentimes there is you see them more in a relationship like Sakuya, Remilia, Yomu, Yiko, to a lesser extent of course, but it's a similar vibe that a lot of people give them. So yeah, I'd put that at cool universe lore. As said before, I think Sho is a really cool character design-wise, and I want to see a lot more done with her. But we're probably not ever gonna see anything like that, because anytime fans get their hands on this character, they turn her into a one-trick character. Byakuren, Hijiri Byakuren. Get ready for a big one. Okay. That's actually not that big, but she has fighting game ones, so... Oh no. Oh no. Stage 6 boss, the Sealed Great Magician. Byakuren Hijiri. Species, Magician. Ability, using magic. Specializing in magic that increases her physical abilities. Byakuren's younger brother, Myoren, was a legendary monk. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, chat. I thought for the longest time that Myoren was Byakuren's older brother, because the temple was named after him, and I was so certain that he died of old age, which caused Byakuren to feel fear for her own mortality. But no, turns out Byakuren had a younger brother, not an older brother. Myoren was her younger brother, a legendary monk. With ease, he could cure the illnesses of people from faraway places and send away a blind bull to carry off the granaries of the miserly rich. In her later years, Byakuren studied the way of the Dharma under her brother. She normally lived on the Flying Storehouse, which was packed with Myoren's dharmic power, and so naturally Byakuren gained power of her own. But Myoren passed away before Byakuren, and in her grief, Byakuren was filled with a terrible fear of death. To save herself from dying, she learned the power of rejuvenation, but rather than the way of the Dharma, she got this power from Yojutsu, a kind of witchcraft. Having made the gift of rejuvenation her own, the undying woman next came to fear losing her power. The only way her Yojutsu could be lost was if humanity were to reject it entirely. In other words, if yokai were to disappear, she would be unable to sustain her own power. Huh. I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that. Byakuren respected the yokai. On the surface, she would accept requests to exterminate yokai, but underneath she would help those yokai. She respected the yokai, but not out of hostility towards humans. At first, was to serve her own desires, but as she learned of what the yokai's pitiful past, she began to think she needed to do something to help them. Yeah, I had no idea about that. So, Byakuren, as we know, Byakuren is all about equality between humans and yokai. But I had no idea that her motivations towards yokai were actually stemmed from selfish desires in the first place. I did know that, you know, the fact that her brother died, she became afraid of her own mortality, and sought after, I guess, works, the power of, like, youth, rejuvenation, which she succeeded in. And it's why she's classified as a magician, because it was a kind of witchcraft. What I didn't know, however, is that she was afraid of losing her power, and I did not know that her power comes from the belief of yokai. So, in the similar sense that if it doesn't exist, if people start believing in it, it ceases to exist. So if yokai were to disappear, Byakuren would lose her power. So that's why Byakuren started getting involved with yokai. But as she got involved with the yokai, she started to change how she viewed them in a different way. That's really cool. That's actually really cool. I'm not done yet though. I'm getting sidetracked because that's like I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that. This youthful monk who suddenly appeared, her youth and her magic made her extremely popular among humans. With Byakuren here, we needn't fear the yokai anymore. We needn't spend our nights in fear, they said. And so the gap between her wishes and the expectations gave birth to a terrible tragedy. She's a demon in human guise, they said. She was sealed away in Makai, never to appear before humans again. You know what I think is funny about this? Is they just called her the youthful monk, with her youth and magic making her extremely popular. Byakuren is one of those characters who is often portrayed in a way that makes her seem quite old, wouldn't you say? Well, I say old, but I'm thinking of a 4-letter word that may or may not be an acronym. But I like how this Omake goes on to call her young and youthful like 3 different times. That's funny. That's funny to me. So yeah, that was already an incredible amount of character lore and some universe lore in there as well. Impressive. I blame the fighting game sprites. Listen. First they gave her a chest, then they put her in a tight leather suit. Like, what do you want me to feel? You know what I mean? Do the boys understand what I say? When I say this, what the fuck do you want me to feel? You think I'm just gonna look at that and be like, ah, yes, good, nice. Nope, nothing here. Let me just continue chewing on my, The boys get me. Alright, next. Hopeless Masquerade. Acharya? I don't know that word, actually. Acharya. Acharya. A 2022 film. Pronunciation, please. Acharya. Okay, it actually sounds like it's spelled. That's impressive. According to text-to-speech, anyway. Acharya. Okay. Byakuren is quite nice to look at, yes. Couldn't have said it better myself. Acharya who suppressed the primates. Hijiri Byakuren. The Myoden temple was bustling with people, but their goal wasn't to receive the teachings of the Buddha. They were those who strayed from morality, who stood out gaudily, causing the huge ruckus, who were called justice in this world without rules. Repeating power is a means, not an end. She enters the gaudy battle. Special skill, Lineage of the Superhuman. Before activating a special attack, Byakuren must first recite a chant. When you input a special attack once, she performs a chant that charges the amount of time she can use it. And inputting the same special again consumes the charge and uses the special attack. The number of charges for each special attack differs, and if you want to use a different special attack, she must recite a new chant first. In exchange for her chanting making special attacks hard to distinguish, the special attacks themselves are more powerful. Last word. Athar Savera. Oh god. Byakuren charges forward and knocks her opponent's back and uses concentrated laser fire. She performs a series of burning attacks. Her high speed charge grazes the opponent's bullets so she can catch opponents that are far away. Possessing strong pressure and high enough power to break your spirit, it is truly the greatest superpower. You know, I find interesting how many characters have text and information Hopeless Masquerade, and then it's just like, you know, Urban Legend of Limbo comes out with the new gimmick and things change pretty significantly, huh? Next is Urban Legend of Limbo. Extreme Speed, the Rider Monk, Byakuren Hijiri, occult name Turbo Granny. With faith as the basis of her martial arts, she's a specialized character for close-range combat and spacing. This is my favorite Notori Box song. She has a system called Chanting, which allows for a handicap in the application of the finishing move. In this game, you can choose freely what finishing move to use as long as you have a chant, and chanting for a prolonged period of time opens up several new possibilities, such as the ability to stockpile them. Her occult attack, Silver Skyway, lets her rush freely through the sky. Now, okay, so her urban legend, as you know, is Turbo Granny. If you know what Turbo Granny is, it's an urban legend. I forget exactly where it takes place, but the story is something along the lines of a group of people were in a van driving down a highway, and they looked out the side window and they saw an old woman who was matching the speed of their vehicle on foot, just like running. So just an old lady was matching their vehicle speed on foot, just running down a highway alongside them, and that's where the Turbo Granny. I have no idea what the fuck caused this. It is the silliest name ever, Turbo Granny. But yeah, somehow it just works for the character. And this is another thing. We just finished talking about how this character's, the Omake text called this character youthful and young, and then her occult name is Turbo Granny. One more. The superhuman and enlightened I have no idea how to pronounce an A with a line over it. Mahakarya. Mahakarya. Pronunciation. How to pronounce Maharagra? Mahakarya. Mahakarya. I don't think that's true because I don't see accents on the A. Mahakarya. What the fuck are these words, dude? They're not real words. We made them up. Words, man. This Notori box. This is T, I believe it's called. Yep. This is track 10 T for the SDM level. I'm actually gonna rewind it. I'm rewinding it because I like this music that much. It's easily my favorite Notori Box song. That game was really good. It's just a shame that the translation didn't exist and the text boxes were broken. But I did enjoy the gameplay significantly. Very, very good game. Byakudan Hijiri, you were possessed by an evil spirit just now. You have to resist it or you'll die. The head of the Myodan Temple, a Buddhist temple that accepts even yokai. Regarding the incident as dangerous, she sets out to investigate the perfect possessions. With the help of her subordinate, she tries to solve the question of just what the possessions really are. But now, I actually remember one thing about this. In AOCF, Byakudan's dream self comes out because the dream characters are a thing. Dream characters are similar to Persona shadows, where they're exaggerations of a character's inner thoughts and feelings. So you kind of like there's obviously a grain of truth in the things they say, but since they're purposefully exaggerated because it's just like pent up frustration, they do kind of go overboard. But Byakudan mentions how sometimes she would tell the disciples that like chores were part of their training when in actuality she just didn't want to do them herself, which I thought that was funny. I thought that was funny to think of because Byakudan has a reputation of being like a very perfect and flawless character, so to speak. I'm not saying like she's a Mary Sue, but she's like the pinnacle of good nature, you know? She's a very good lady. But it's kind of nice to see little moments where, you know, you see her as maybe she's not as perfect as you think she is. And, you know, the Omake text did a good job of showing that off a little bit as well. But that was, of course, back in Byakudan's younger years. She's still young, though, mind you. How, you know, she pursued witchcraft, she feared her own loss of power, she pursued yokai out of her own self-interest, like, but her personality changed into the character she is. She didn't just come out of the thing I like about Byakudan is that she didn't just come out of the gate being like, I stand for equality for yokai and humans. Like, granted, that is how it is in the game, but in her own official lore, she was simply a monk training under her brother. And the way her path in life kind of unfolded, it makes sense in a reasonable way, which leads her to what we know her as, with her affiliation with yokai. And the fact that I can 100% believe that the route, like, based on the Omake text, I can believe that that's how she ended up. She ended up in that position from where she was, in a believable way, but by a chain of events. Thank you, Fatal, for the resub, by the way. So yeah, really cool. Byakudan is a great character. What can I say? Fantastic character. I used to not really like her because I thought she was... Her and Miko, I didn't really care about their groups because I thought they were just, they represent a religion and that's their entire character. But little did I know, there is a lot of characterization to these characters, which makes them very fascinating. And as I said with Byakudan, Byakudan's very fascinating because of the course of her actions shaping her into who she is today, as we know her. We know her as a very peaceful, serene woman who cares about equal treatment of yokai and humans. She has a lot of yokai that respect her immensely by what she's done, for what she's done. Also, her hat looks like a fat end of a pencil in Hopeless Masquerade. Check this out. Look at this. Look, it looks like a pencil. You see that? Like, here's Here's the graphite, and then here's, like, the shavings. It's just a giant fucking pencil. So she's going in the Cooley lore. She's going in cool lore. No doubt about that. I like Byakuren a lot. Byakuren is a good character. I appreciate the characters who get a lot of characterization, even if I may not necessarily like have them highly rated in my own personal tier lists. It's nice to have characters with a lot of characterization to them. Alright, speaking of characters with no characterization to them, here's New Huju, the crybaby. You know how I feel about Nue? Here's what I feel about Nue. Every time I see her, I think she's a little cuter than the last time I saw her. I don't understand why. That's just the kind of character she is. Every time I see her, my opinion of her goes up just a little bit. Oh, I forgot she showed up in 10 Desires. Alright, she is the extra stage mid boss. How could I forget that? It's the socks? No, it's not the socks. I think it's just a little bit of everything. Alright. Extra boss, the unidentified flying fantastic girl, Nue Hojo. Species, Nue. Ability, make her true form unknown. A great curiosity, an extremely mysterious yokai that flies the night sky. That is Nue. She's been defeated by humans many times before, but each time accounts of her appearance are different. According to one legend, she had the head of a monkey, the body of a raccoon dog, the legs of a tiger, and the tail of a snake. According to yet another legend, she had the head of a cat, the body of a chicken, and the tail of a snake. These legends were all made up though. In reality, she never showed people her true form. She just enjoyed watching humans get frightened and imagine all sorts of strange things from afar. That was her daily work. Eventually, she got tired of that and leisurely spent a long time deep beneath the Earth's surface. But she got mixed up in the turmoil surrounding the geyser incident and appeared above ground once more. She saw Murasa and the others who had been underground with her also come above ground and start plotting something. Ah, finally, I can have some fun again, she thought, and decided to give them some trouble by attaching the Seed of Unknown Form to the fragments of the flying granary. The Seed of Unknown Form was a small snake-like flying object with no determined form. When people saw it, what they saw depended on their own experience and knowledge. Since Reimu and the others didn't think that a block of wood had any business flying in the sky, they thought it was a round UFO of the sort that most exemplified unidentified flying objects. Murasa and company thought that the fragments of the flying granary had been scattered about by the geyser, but it was in fact thanks to the Seed of Unknown Form. In any case, when it looked like the others were having fun, Nue found a way to mess with them from afar. She didn't know what Murasa's group was planning, but she thought it would be funny if they failed. However, humans appeared who seemed happy at the appearance of that unidentified flying object. She was interested to see what sort of human wouldn't be afraid of such a thing. So she secretly followed them, sometimes helping them, sometimes getting in their way. That explains the Nue ball, by the way. Eventually, she found out that what Murasa was doing would benefit her too, and came to regret what she'd done. However, Byakuren did not ostracize her for having meddled with her return. The Nue that thought she would have no choice but to follow the monk for a while. There you go. So yeah. So Nue wasn't in prison, she just got bored. She got bored and went underground, was hanging out with Murasa and friends. And then when the geyser launched them back up, she came topside as well and saw Murasa again. Because the thing about Byakuren's associates is they were sealed underground because they were associated with her. But Nue, on the other hand, was not associated with her in the slightest. She simply knew Murasa from underground when she went there herself. Nue is associated with the Myoden Temple now because she got involved in them after the fact. So yeah, all the UFOs in UFO are actually just pieces of floating wood that are they're scattered pieces of the thing that the storehouse that shows Murasa's group is looking for. And Murasa, Nue was just fucking with them. So that's why all the UFOs you see are actually just blocks of wood, but all the main characters perceive them as UFOs because that's what they perceive them as. That's what makes the most sense in their psyche, so that's what they see. And Nue is fucking around with everyone, and once Nue realizes what it was she was actively trying to, like, you know, stop. Once Nue realizes what she's done, she starts to feel really bad about it. But Byakuren, being the very holy lady she is, does not fault her for it, and because of that, I guess Nue feels some sort of debt to her. The Nue thought she had no choice but to follow the monk for a while. So Nue is definitely still around. She doesn't show up at all. She's not officially part of the Myoden crew, but she is someone who you would see at the Myoden Temple. It's kind of weird, you know? It's kind of weird how wood make life peace, because it's magical wood. Remember, it's magical wood. The flying storehouse was full of dharmic power, and it was shattered into pieces, but it still had power within it. And for some reason, Sho and friends needed to return this thing back to its true form to unseal Byakuren. I have no idea why. I don't really understand how a magic storehouse is what, like, the plot device of this game, but it is. That's the plot of the game. So yeah, there's actually quite a bit of information on Nue. This is also why Sanai thinks that Nue is an alien, because she's the one behind the UFOs. But Nue has no idea what the hell an alien is. She doesn't know what an alien is. But since Sanai saw UFOs and saw that she was the cause of the UFOs, she just assumed she was alien. And now Nue has a reputation of an alien. I'm not even sure if Nue knows what an alien is at this point in time. Maybe she does now? But I thought that was a funny interaction, where Sanai calls her an alien, and she's just like, what? What's that? I have no idea what that is. And then 10 Desires. Extra mid-boss, Old Yokai number 1, Nue Hojo. Species Nue, ability maker, true form unknown. A strange and wondrous yokai that lives in Myoden Temple. I did not know that. The saint that Byakuren had been holding back had finally resurrected. When she heard about this, she decided to pay back what she owed Byakuren from last time, UFO, and called on an old yokai friend in order to increase the power of the yokai. Naturally, she kept this a secret from Byakuren. As a result, another yokai came to live at Myoden Temple. Thus, she only served to make Byakuren even busier. Wait, does Mamizo live at the Myoden Temple? I had no idea. Listen, I had no idea that Nue actually lived there. It is a big temple after all. But are you telling me Mamizo lives there as well? For some reason, I was under the impression that Mamizo lives in the Forest of Magic. And I'm not sure where that idea came from. Huh. Well, maybe she doesn't live there anymore, but... Because remember, this Omake text is from 10 Desires. Maybe it's changed? I have no idea. Wait, we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there anyway. Because next is 10 Desires. Okay. So where are we putting Nue? We're putting Nue in the Bolt tier, of course. Because we learned about her character. We learned about her involvement in the plot of the game as well. Also, the fact that she has a... She was able to go outside of the border and contact Mamizo and bring her in. That's interesting to me. Because not a lot of characters can just do that, you know? Like, living creatures shouldn't be allowed to go through the barrier. The reason Raiko could is because she was a Sakumogami and was considered not alive. At the same time of having, like, a conscience. So she could go through and find a new source of power. But Kasena's gone through the border before. Yukari obviously can go through the barrier because she's Yukari. But I guess Nue can slip out as well. And there's rumors and speculation that Remilia has access to the outside world as well, for some reason. But nothing really ever comes out of that. Holy shit. Chat, look at this. This is going to be really small, but I want you to look at this. Alright. So, here's Nue, right? Here's Nue in UFO, right? You see that? I know it's very blurry, but trust me, this will make sense in a moment. You see this, right? I want you to pay attention to the red, alright? Does everybody see it? The red? You see the red? Now check out her sprite in Hopeless Masquerade. Knew I found the growth formula. Holy shit. Absolute, like, actually piercing. The blue, also her trident. Her trident also became massive. Like, it's big enough for her to sit on like a broom. She powered up, dude. But her blue ones didn't change at all. But her red ones just fucking exploded. She digivolved, my guy. It went from stabbies to like those are full-on blades, dude. That's kind of sick, though. That's kind of sick, I gotta say. Everybody in Touhou gets a longer weapon over time. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think the snake motif is on there. Let me see. Let me check that out again. Let me see. Oh yeah, her trident is missing the snake motif. That's on the original one. Weird. Wonder what that's about. I mean, that's not really the most important detail, mind you. But it is missing there. I just noticed that. Her trident has a little snake curling on the bottom of it. Oh, penis! It also, actually, the snake actually extends onto her arm as well. Now that I look at it, the snake's not her tail. I mean, she doesn't have a tail, but she has a snake on her body for some reason. That's weird. It's there in her symposium illustration. Neat. Okay. Alright. Next is Ohio. Ohio gozaimasu. Whoa. What is this? Hold on. Here you go. Here you go. But also peep this. Peep this. Look at the outfit. Why is it purple? Why is it purple? That's, I mean, it is Hopeless Masquerade, you know, but huh. How strange. Purple. 10 desires. That's a small one. Alright. Thank you, Makabe, for the resub. The second stage boss, the Sutra chanting Yamabiko. Gyate. Kyoko Kasodani. Species Yamabiko. Ability reflecting sound. You may have loudly shouted Yahoo! When you climbed a mountain. If you hear a Yahoo in response, then it's a Yamabiko at work. She lives in the mountains, and when she hears a joyous voice, she replies back with a loud yell. A yokai that loves to join in on the fun. But these days, superstitions like Yamabiko, that's mountain echoes, are just sound waves being reflected back to you, have become commonly held. Realizing the emptiness of secularism, she decided to enter the Buddhist discipline. Her abilities work well with reciting Buddhist sutras. It is her everyday work in the mountains, And by doing so, she now inspires fear as a sutra reciting voice coming from a mountain where no one is present. So she was able to retain her place as a yokai. I see. So this is how Kyoko managed to survive. Now she reads sutras in the mountain where no one is around, and it causes people to fear her. I didn't know that. Now I knew that she came down from the mountains to the temple to you know, save her existence, because even in the world of Gensokyo, the existence of a Yamabiko are a little it's slipping. That's funny. It's pretty cool though. So I would put that under. Honestly, I would put that here. Now, I'm kind of torn because I want to put Kyoko in the please give more characterization. But remember, we know that Kyoko has a punk band with Mistia, not part of the Omake text, mind you. Apparently, according to Aya as well, she's overworked at the temple. But that's alternative facts. You know, you gotta be careful what you take from there as canon. But I think there's a cool universe lore here because it explains the state of Yamabiko in Gensokyo. It explains why Kyoko came down from the mountains, and it also explains how Kyoko has managed to retain her place as a yokai through what it is she has done and is doing. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. No, the band comes later. The first mention of the band is... It's not Symposium of Post-Mysticism. I think it's actually Alternative Facts in Eastern Utopia. So 2017. The whole point of Alternative Facts of Eastern Utopia was Aya trying to design an article based on tabloids that have fallen into Gensokyo. She was trying to design it off of trashy tabloids that she's seen from around. That's why she writes a parody. She writes a parody for Miko about Trump. She writes a bunch of she writes slander for Hatate. There's a few articles that she writes in there that actually have follow-ups that explain why the article was bogus and then apologizes for it. But she basically shits on Hatate's Kakashi Spirit News, and she ad-libs. You know, she definitely stretches the truth on things. Like Miko's just having a presentation in the human village about vegetables or something, and she stretches it to match something she saw in the tabloids about a political figure. It's like, oh, okay. So, the thing about Alternative Facts is, it's, like, the whole point of it is it's supposed to be like that kind of presentation. So, there are a lot of things in there that you can still take it like, oh yeah, that happened. But there's also a lot of bits in there that kind of have to be taken with, like, a grain of salt, because you don't know for sure if Aya stretched the truth a little bit. In universe, Aya never published the article. After she wrote it, she decided it was too trashy and she benched it. Imagine that. Aya wrote something that she thought was so trashy, she didn't publish it. That's impressive. Alright, next is... Zombie. 10 Desires full version, 10 Desires Omake. The third stage boss, the loyal undead, Yoshika Miwako. Jiangshi. Ability, eating anything. Humans bitten by her turn into a Jiangshi temporarily. A mysterious corpse revived by somebody. She is just a puppet, but she keeps something important. She's keeping something important. She possesses strange power and has a body that does not feel pain. It is very challenging to confront her directly, but her brain is like a forgotten age of computers. It is very easy to kite around her. While fighting, if she is damaged, she consumes spirits and regenerates health, so she's very hard to beat up, but it's very easy to get away from her, and this is important. Her flesh body is very hard, and her joints do not bend. She cannot even walk that well. Her master is recommending calisthenics for her. Activity with no flexibility often ends up in injury, though she is just a zombie. What is she that she is keeping safe? And what of her master, who employed a meaningless bodyguard like her? Stay tuned for the retail version. So that was the demo text. This is the full game text. A dead body from ancient Japan, reanimated by Seiga, for whom she works as an underling. This time she was summoned to protect the Hall of Dreams' great mausoleum during the verge of resurrection. With strange powers and a body that feels no pain, she's a formidable enemy when faced head-on, but her cerebral faculties are on par with computational powers of an obsolete computer, so escaping from her is a simple task. What a roundabout way to call her an idiot. When wounded in battle, she restores her strength by devouring spirits. She's not easily defeated, but escaping from her is a simple task. Take note of this. Her body is very stiff and her joints do not flex. She cannot even walk straight. Her master has recommended various stretches to her. Engaging in physical activity without stretching first may lead to injury, even if you're a zombie. Eventually, Yoshika will stretch and she'll be able to move her limbs again. So yeah, she cannot bend her joints. That's why she's in a zombie position. She has brain like old computer. So what did we learn, chat? Nothing really. I'm putting her here. Here's what we learned. She's a zombie, big fucking shocker, and she was put in charge of guarding the mausoleums, the entry to the mausoleum during its resurrection. She also cannot bend her joints, and she's not very smart. That's really not much of anything, honestly. That's really not much of anything. That doesn't even really classify as neat, I guess, from me, so I'm gonna put that under please give more character. Please, Zuna, please, I need more characterization for my zombie. Now for her master. Seiga Kaku. Seiga Kaku. Wow, that's big. Alright. Stage 4 boss. The Wicked Hermit Who Passes Through Walls. Nickname Seiga Nyan. Lit Lady Seiga. Wait a minute, you're telling me they call her Seiga Nyan in the Omake text? Wow. What a stupid fucking name. Who calls her that? Seiga Kaku. Wicked Hermit. Ability passing through walls. Once she was a human in all of the Touhou. When Seiga was young, her father took a liking to the Touhou and left her behind to shut himself up in the mountains. Babe, please, you're not a Taoist monk. You can't leave us. We have a daughter. Oh my god. I must go. Pursue the arts. Finding herself interested in a book her father had left behind, she read through it over and over and became attracted to the Touhou. She was particularly interested in Hei Jianggo. Oh god. Kosenko, one of the 8 stages of Taoism. I don't think I said his name right at all. And swore she'd become a hermit one day too and meet her father. As she grew older, she was able to marry into the Kaku family. Wait, I didn't know that. Wait a minute. I didn't know Seiga fucked. Uh-oh. She led a life without any restrictions on her freedom, but she was unable to throw away her aspirations toward Taoism, and so she spent every day depressed. As a result, she practically became a shut-in, never conversing with anyone. I didn't know that. I had no idea. I didn't know that she married into a family and got her her given name, or not her given, her family name. Her family name was not originally her, like Kaku. She married into their family. I had no idea. She practically became a shun-in, never conversing with anyone. One day, after 8 more years had passed, Seiga suddenly said her goodbyes. Her family thought it was odd, but as Seiga fell asleep, seemingly like the other day, she never opened her eyes again. Surprised, a great sadness cast itself over her family, and they buried her utterly lifeless body. Wait a minute, what? Whoa, slow down. She really just said peace and then ceased to wake up. However, she wasn't dead. While she'd been shut away in her room, she used a technique she read about in her book to make a bamboo rod take the form of her own body, making her appear to be dead. That was what her family had buried. Substitution jutsu. Where am I? She cast away her worldly life and ran. Yes, she ran to join the world of hermits she so yearned for. Countless time had passed. As a hermit, she gained a certain amount of power. She maintained her youthful appearance, becoming unaging. In order to reach this far, she also did many things which made her feared by the public. However, the heavens did not acknowledge her, and she became a wicked hermit. She didn't even hesitate to deceive her family in order to fulfill her own personal goal. That was not good behavior at all. This is Omake text, baby. I'm telling you, there's so much shit in the Omake text that is never mentioned anywhere ever. And unless you saw it in fandom, like, you wouldn't know this was a thing. I didn't know this. I've never read this character's Omake page because I don't care about this character. I knew she was a hermit. I knew that she's not a good person, but I did not know she went and fucking said peace and then pretended to die so she could run away from her family and then just continue being a hermit. This was not good behavior at all. She had a tendency to spread the ways of Taoism as a pretense for showing off her powers. However, Taoists and hermits of her level that weren't that unusual in this country, so she thought she moved to a hermitless country and headed out for a country in the east she'd never seen before, Japan. Yeah, so she ended up becoming, you know, one of many in the wave. So she left for Japan because there was less going on there, so she could stand out and be more powerful there as comparatively. Crazy. At that time in Japan, Buddhism which had just spread there from the continent, and Shinto, which placed its faith in Japan's native gods, were locked in a battle for supremacy. Thinking this was the perfect chance, she caught the ear of Toyosato Mimi no Miko, who was widely seen as the most virtuous person, and taught her of the charms of Taoism. She suggested to the powerful ones that they use Buddhism in politics to keep the people from getting restless, while they use Taoism to attain superhuman strength for themselves. Since Taoism was a nature-worshipping polytheistic creed, it fits well into the beliefs of Shinto, which held the powerful in Japan to be descendants of the gods. And since its ultimate goal was immortality, it was a compelling alternative for them to the more stoic Buddhism. A little while after she thought about it, Miko spoke to her former religious rival, the Mononobe clan, of this plan. So yeah. It's not leaving them that makes her evil. It's the fact that she pretended to be dead and left her corpse for them. Like, yeah, I'm dead. She deceived them like that. This is not good behavior at all. She didn't hesitate to deceive her family in order to fulfill her own personal goal. That is the important sentence there to pay attention to. That is the important sentence there to pay attention to. So this is something that I knew at the bottom here about the fact that Miko practiced Taoism in secret, but preached Buddhism as in politics to because basically Buddhism was about complacency and where they are, whereas Taoism was about, you know, attaining your own like level of superhuman immortality. So having the masses practice Buddhism means they're just vibing, they're okay. Whereas Miko could have, you know, pursue Taoism herself. And this is something that's in Symposium of Post-Mysticism. There's a conversation, there's a little story in Symposium with Marissa, Akyu, Miko, and Byakunin, where Miko and Byakunin talk a little bit about themselves and stuff. It explains why Byakunin put her temple over the mausoleum at the end of 12. It explains, I'm pretty sure it mentions that Seiga taught Miko Taoism. I don't know if it names her explicitly, but it does mention as well. They do have a conversation about the fact that Miko used Buddhism, preached Buddhism as the face of her in her political career, while practicing Taoism in secret. It's neat. I mean, you can twist and turn what she did however you want, but it's pretty obvious that there's a reason they call her a wicked hermit. She pretended to die, caused her family great grief, and then ran off to be free. She resurrected a corpse. She resurrected a corpse to do for her own interests. These are not good actions. These are not good actions. Anyway, that was a surprisingly large amount of character lore and universe lore. It didn't explain where she got her hair ornament, though. That's for sure. I just don't think this character is justifiable to be a good character. She's... Is she evil? I don't know if she's evil necessarily, but she's not good. She's certainly not a good character. Next is Tojiko. The Daikon girl. Oh, she actually has text. Wow. Oh, that is so small. Oh, holy forgotten character right here. Stage 5 mid-boss, Ghost of the Children of the Gods. Soga no Tojiko. Species, Ghost. Ability, Cause of Lightning. A ghost of a member of the powerful ancient Japanese family, the Soga. She is serving Miko together with Futo, but she has been denied to resurrect as a human due to her connections with Futo in the past. It looks like she was treated conveniently by Futo, taking a spirit form. She herself isn't feeling any particular inconvenience taking the spirit form. Rather, in fact, she had been considering that she had no use for the human body, which would break down so quickly. The Soga and the Mononobe have fought over Buddhism, but Futo and Tojiko's relationship is not in bad terms, and thought to be a give-and-take relationship. For now, they both hate Buddhism. They both hate it. They hate it. So, yeah. This isn't mentioned. This isn't explicitly mentioned here. But the reason Tojiko is a ghost is because Futo is an asshole. Plain and simple. So, Futo and Tojiko, their clans were rivals, but they became, you know, they had a common ground in Miko, right? So when Miko set off to perform the art of I forget what it's called, to become a Shikaisen, what they do is they basically put their spirits in an object and leave their bodies, and once their bodies are considered dead and like no longer a part of the reincarnation cycle, their spirits return to their bodies and they have effectively become Shikaisen. So Miko had transferred her spirit into that of her sword, Futo transferred her spirit into that of her plate, and Tojiko had transferred her spirit into that of an urn. However, Futo had deliberately damaged the urn that Tojiko had placed her spirit in. So as a result of that, when their spirits returned to their bodies, her spirit was not perfectly intact. So when she returned to her body, she turned into a ghost. And thankfully, Tojiko does not mind. Tojiko is not inconvenienced by the fact that she is a ghost. No, Futo's just a little prick, that's all. She couldn't let it go. She couldn't let it go. She couldn't let it go. But she again, Tojiko thinks the ghost thing is pretty cool. She thinks being a ghost is pretty cool and that a human body, you know, human bodies break down quickly anyway. So being a ghost that can shoot lightning is sick. That's pretty interesting, respectable lore. Let me see. That's very not much there. There's not a lot there. So yeah, she's part of the Seiga clan. Served Miko with Futo, and then they reincarnated. She's not inconvenienced by it. Honestly, I gotta put this here. You know, no, probably here. I'm gonna put it here. So, it's neat. I wouldn't call it sick lore, because it leaves out the finer details, but it does mention a little bit why she's a ghost, and the fact that she is okay with it. And that her and Futo are not actually on bad terms, and they hate Buddhism. But there's not really a lot there. Tojiko is kind of unfortunate, because when you look at the Myoden crew, the Myoden crew is like, you got, what do you call it? You got Nazarin, you got Murasa, you got Ichiden, you got Sho, you got Byakuren, and then to a lesser extent, you got Nue, you even got Jun for a little bit in there as well. But then with the Taoist group, you have Miko, Futo, and Tojiko, and Miko is not Miko, sorry. Tojiko is a mid-boss, like, only. Whereas, at least Futo and Miko are in the fighting games, but Tojiko, while being part of that group, is very underrepresented. It's very underrepresented. It's kind of a shame, because I think she's kind of cool. She's a cool idea. Lightning Ghost. Speaking of feet, though, next up is Mononobe herself. The girl in the silly hat. Alright. Alright. Stage 5 boss, the Shikaisen from ancient Japan. Mononobe no Futo. Species, human. A Taoist who self-identifies as a Shikaisen. Ability is manipulating feng shui. Long ago. Indeed, 1,400 years ago or so. That's older than Moko. 1,400 years ago. Before, in fact, it had been decided that the country would rule over the people. People, things, technology, religion, many things were being introduced from across the sea. One of those would greatly influence the direction of Buddhism, would take in this country. The country was divided into pro and anti-Buddhist factions, which dug in more over time. The Mononobe, the ones who had Umashimaji no Miko, a god in Shinto, as its ancestor, was in the anti-Buddhist faction. Her confrontation with the Soga, the ones who had a human as an ancestor, was dreadful, and afterwards this religious conflict wasn't talked of as a petty political battle, but as a battle between the lineage of the gods and human dignity. And so, religious war over Buddhism ended in tragedy. The battles grew more vicious with each passing day as the Mononobe waged an anti-Buddhist campaign that invaded and burned temples and threw out their statues. Perhaps it was simply bad timing, but after that day an epidemic began to spread, resulting in the passing of the emperor. The Soga proclaimed this to be a curse brought on by despicable acts against Buddhism. This rallied support in Soga's favor, who was eventually given permission to bring the Mononobe into submission. This battle resulted in the destruction of Mononobe. From then on, the nation's politics were carried out in the fashion befitting Buddhism. This is what most people know about the religious war between the Mononobe and the Soga. However, there was someone else pulling the strings behind the scenes, Futo. A daughter of the Mononobe, she worshipped at the altar of another faith. That faith was Taoism, which had been introduced at the same time as Buddhism. Taoism could grant people superhuman abilities based on their own actions, eventually resulting in immortality. It was particularly appealing to those with political power. However, that appealing faith also had a weakness. It was not well suited for political control, as anyone could undergo the ascetic training necessary to become a hermit. As a result, she decided to practice her Taoism in secret. Miko, a fellow Taoist practitioner, came to her with a certain plan. Her plan was to govern the country using Buddhism as a means to keep the citizenry pacified. Then they would cast a curse on their own deaths and be reborn as Shikaisen. Futo became an ally of the Soga and was able to manipulate them. Thus, the Soga came to be blind followers of Buddhism. Naturally, as descendants of the gods, the Mononobe, except Futo, weren't particularly pleased about this. The result was a protracted religious war over Buddhism. It was, in fact, a war between ancient gods of Japan in name of the Mononobe and Miko, who wished to become a new god through Taoism. Thus, Buddhism was only a deception for their plan. However, it seemed it would take a long time for the resurrection to take place. That was probably because a group of Buddhist monks doubted that Miko had actually died and constructed a large temple above her grave to prevent her from resurrecting. Buddhism had been used for political ends, and it had apparently been a miscalculation to allow it to become so widely followed that even in modern Japan it continues to be widely observed. Fun fact, Futo is she's actually a spy who orchestrated an entire war. She is a deserter of her own clan. She's a deserter of her clan, manipulated the Soga clan into fighting a religious war against her own faction so she could practice Taoism while having Buddhism pacify the citizenry of Japan. I had no idea that Futo was that level of strategist. I didn't know this. This is all new to me. So let's dissect this. So the Mononobe and the Soga clan are fighting a religious war, with the Soga clan being pro-Buddhism and the Mononobe clan being anti-Buddhism. However, this was all orchestrated by Futo, a member of the Mononobe clan, manipulating the Soga clan into fighting for believing in Buddhism and fighting for it. Also, they would win, and so the majority of Buddhism would take over the country, and Futo would continue to practice Taoism in secret, because Futo and Miko did not want to practice Taoism openly, because the benefits of Taoism were great. They were great for the individual, so they didn't want everybody to just go practice it. Huh. Crazy. Apparently Futo is she's a tactician. She's a master. And yeah, it seems when she comes back, so it mentions there a group of Buddhist monks doubted that Miko had actually died. That was Byakuren putting her temple on top of the mausoleum. And so, yeah. Buddhism managed to survive for so long that it ended up almost biting them in the ass there. Crazy. 1400 years ago. Just a few, within 100 years of Moko's time. So Futo Futo is older in a sense than Moko, even though, you know, her body like kind of stopped. Like I guess she's been in she hasn't been alive or moving in a while. Crazy. That's insane. I had no idea Futo had that much backstory to her. I didn't realize she was such a mastermind. Now we're on Hopeless Masquerade. Feng Shui master who controls dragon veins, Mononobe no Futo. Believing that those with violent hearts must be saved, Miko began to move. Assembling faithful hearts scattered across the land to herself, she tells them to remake their momentary lives. To do that, she must fight against other religionists. Futo decides to use that support. The support is that of an aftercare for the defeated. But special skill, piled up Kodoko dishes. By performing the ritual to split her own plates across the field, she attains more power as a hermit. When her hermit power is fulfilled, various attacks get powered up. Even if the round is over, her power as a hermit will not reset. So the longer the fight goes on, the more advantageous of a situation it becomes for her. Inferno Reformation. Inferno. Futo releases flames everywhere around her and makes the field into a sea of fire. Futo is not affected by the sea of fire, and if the opponent draws near, their physical strength will fail. The closer to the sea of fire they get, the more their physical strength falls. Interesting. Urban Legend live on Bansho, the plate-breaking Shikaisen, Mononobe no Futo, a code name Bansho Dish Mansion. With Danmaku that utilizes plates, and now with a special finishing move that installs plates on the screen, Futo is a technical character, seen as positioned in her lifeblood of Feng Shui. Futo's own footwork is absolutely the fastest kind. Her occult attack, Okiku Upper, gets stronger the higher number of plates broken, and at 9 plates it will show its true power. So yeah. So this is Futo's urban legend. Futo's urban legend is about a man who wanted to marry a woman who really liked her plates, and she said no, and he got really upset. So he told the woman that one of her precious plates had like fallen down the well, and the lady was like, "Oh shit, no, my plates!" And then when she got close to the well, he pushed her down the well and killed her. And then the emperor was then haunted every night by the sound of a woman counting her plates. A woman would start counting her 10 plates, and when she got to 9, she wouldn't be able to find her last plate, and then she would just start screaming like she was just, you know, like her tendies just got denied. So that's what the emperor had to live with for the rest of his life, until he either died of old age or he probably seppuku'd. So yeah, every night he would just be lying in bed, and then someone would start counting, and when they hit 9, they would just start screeching at him that they couldn't find their last plate. That's the legend. It's a very, very old legend, which is why it fits Futo perfectly. I'm pretty sure Ichida even comments on it, about her picking a legend that's so old and how it fits her. And then Shikaisen, who breaks plates with Feng Shui, Mononobe no Futo. How incomprehensible. Before I even knew it, I found myself here. An old-fashioned Taoist hermit who can manipulate Feng Shui. At the behest of her master, who is investigating the perfect possession incident, she searches for the incident driving principle. Her struggle with her partner over master's authority has reached a temporary truce, but it soon leads to an unexpected result. A speed character who fights with her special attacks, which makes use of the plates she sets up and her agile maneuverability. It's a very fitting urban legend for her method of attacks, yeah. I just think it's funny. I enjoy Futo. Futo is a very enjoyable character. What a goofball. A very smart goofball, mind you. So where does that put her? Up top, of course. Because we just got information on the religious war in Touhou, from Touhou's perspective. And we also learned that it was orchestrated by this thing right here. This thing. She did it. She did it. She caused it. This is who caused the religious war of Japan. Her. Unbelievable. One moment. Nasty in my throat, so I just went and grabbed a drink. Miko! Toyo Sato Mimi no Miko. Alright. 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 You know, I like to look at Byakuren and Miko as kind of like opposites to each other. So, you have Byakuren, who's very calm and serene. Then you have Miko, who's very passionate and well-spoken. You know, like their personalities are similar in it to a certain extent, but the way their attitudes are kind of like night and day. Also, I like to think that Byakuren is on the taller side, whereas Miko is on the shorter side, and Byakuren is on the bigger side, and Miko is on the smaller side. If you understand what I'm saying there. They're opposites. There's a lot of opposite aspects to their characters. Stage 6 boss, the Shotoku Taoist. Toyosato Mimi no Miko. Species Saint. Ability, capable of listening to 10 people's conversations at the same time. Powerful. Born in a stable. She was recognized as a genius at an early age. Born into a high position, she overheard many complaints when she was young. Wait, what do you mean? Born in a stable, but born in a high position. Okay. People would let their tongues loose around her, assuming she wouldn't be able to understand them, so she heard a lot of idle grumbling from servants and such. However, Miko was able to understand them and provide very specific advice right away. Rumors of her spread throughout the land, and she gained enormous popularity as a saint. She had her own troubles as a genius. The earth hasn't changed from the age of the gods, and the seas are still filled to the brim. Why must humans be forced to accept death? She became dissatisfied with her fate that, as a human, she would eventually die. Seiga, who had heard the rumors about Miko, was confident she'd found the person she'd be looking for, and came to spread Taoism to her. Taoism was essentially nature worship, and by becoming one with nature, it could bestow immortality on its followers. Miko's heart danced in joy. She had also told Seiga that her faith could never lead to having strong rule over a country. Seiga didn't care about national politics so long as she could further her own goals, but Miko had a different view. In that case, Seiga recommended she should make the appearance of becoming a Buddhist. When Miko learned Buddhism was I almost said shit, a strict creed that forbade murder, she determined it would be a good means to calm the nation and accepted it. Miko spread Buddhism throughout the country in order to ensure that those without political power would not gain power. In the shadows, she advanced her own experiments with Taoism. As a result, she obtained superhuman abilities and left behind a number of legends with which everyone is familiar. She didn't neglect her work towards her ultimate goal of immortality. She turned to the use of various unusual materials, such as cinnabar, and this ruined her body. She had destroyed her health because of the very Taoism that was meant to grant her immortality. Thinking she'd be unable to wait long enough with the state her body was in, Miko decided to become a Shikaisen. This was a secret technique in which she would die, to make it appear that she died and be resurrected. However, afraid to undergo the procedure alone, she reached out to Futo and convinced her to go to sleep first. Believing in Miko's power, Futo became her test subject. Once Miko confirmed that after death, Futo continued to sleep without decaying, Miko went to sleep herself. Holy shit, I did not know that. Oh, Futo got guinea pigged. Miko had planned to awaken when the nation felt limited by its Buddhist precepts and felt the need for a saint. However, her calculations went awry and the nation was controlled by Buddhism for over 1,000 years. Because Buddhist monks continued to place seals on Miko's mausoleum, she was unable to resurrect. Miko's plans had been foiled. Miko judged that she had no need to rush and could resurrect herself at any time, and so she continued sleeping. Finally, the time of her resurrection came. The trigger was a rumor that the legends regarding her were all fabricated. Since in modern times there were no more people with superhuman powers, it wasn't surprising that tales of her exploits were seen as simple lies. As a result, her mausoleum ended up in Gensokyo. Since there weren't any temples in Gensokyo at that time, she prepared for her resurrection to proceed whenever she felt it was necessary. But by some stroke of timing, though, a new temple was built, and whether by plan or by chance, it was built directly over her mausoleum. This was, of course, the Myoden Temple. Would Miko let herself be held back by a Buddhist monk once more, or would she fight that monk? A fight just like the battles between the Mononobe clan of the old gods and the Soga clan of the Buddhists had fought over so long ago. Alright, so let's dissect that for a second there. So, Miko had a natural ability that granted her a lot of praise and notoriety. Seiga, having heard of Miko's exploits, sought her out and taught her about the arts of Taoism. Miko, very interested in Taoism, wanted to learn it, but she did not believe it would be good for the country if everybody started practicing it. So she made a plan. That's when she contacted Futo, and then the war, the religious war happened, and Buddhism placated the country. However, this is actually something interesting. I learned about this before. I don't remember what exactly the details are, but hermits, in order to preserve their bodies, hermits would consume, they would consume a certain thing. I cannot remember what it is, but it was the same product that you use on, a wood finish. Do you know what I mean when I say that? They would consume this thing that is primarily used to, for wood finishes. They would consume it so their body would be it would I don't think it's varnish. I'm not sure though. But they would drink it and it would make their bodies it would cleanse their bodies and make it I guess preserve it, but in actuality they're just fucking drinking poison. I think it might be the cure. I don't know. Whatever it is, it was obviously not a good thing to drink. It was just poison. So, what it says here about her using various materials like cinnabar and ruining her body, I have a feeling what this means is Miko was actively searching for things to preserve her body in nature like this. But she had destroyed her health by doing so because humans cannot ingest this kind of shit. So then she decided that she wasn't going to make it in time. She wasn't going to make it in time for immortality, so she decided to go with the Shikaisen route. And in doing so, she was worried it wouldn't work, so she convinced Futo to do it first, and then she could gauge the results based on that. And after she confirmed that Futo was okay, once she confirmed Futo was okay and still asleep, she then did it herself. That's insane. That's actually insane. I can't believe Miko did that to Futo. And she's never going to tell her either. So then Miko continued to sleep, and she had a plan for when she wanted to resurrect. However, her mausoleum kept getting sealed by the outside world by Buddhist monks, so she could never properly resurrect. And then eventually, so much time had passed, Buddhism was so strong in the country, and then people started forgetting, or even just stopped believing that Miko was a real person. And then her her mausoleum slipped in against Sokyo, and when she was planning to wake up again, then the Myoden Temple showed up and put itself over top of her. And she was like, no, fuck this. So the Myoden Temple had tried to seal her once more, and so Miko finally awoken. Wagaladashi! Nice. Okay. Well, that was a fuck ton of lore. Now we're on the written works, or not the written works, Hopeless Masquerade, fighting games. The almighty Taoist who controls the cosmos, Toyosato Mimi no Miko. Hope had vanished from the hearts of humans. Miko had noticed this was happening. Who had noticed this was happening, sought to save the world by becoming their hope. It's herself. In order to do that, first she'd have to defeat those bothersome individuals of her own trade, and then seize the hearts of humans for herself. Miko sought out Gensokyo's most ancient religion. Special skill, divinely appointed stateswoman. Whenever Miko gains popularity, she takes in the audience desires. When she takes in a lot of these desires, each attack is strengthened. Conversely, when her popularity declines, the collective desires are released. If too much of those desires are lost, her attacks will become even weaker than normal. So there's a need above that of other characters to be the center of attention. Wow, her power is showboating. Last word. Heed the Imperial commands with absolute care. Placing all of her hermit's powers and the popularity gathered from the audience in her shaku, she transforms the shaku into a massive sword of light that completely hacks apart the battlefield. Although the scope of the attack is confined to around the center of the field, her sword of light cannot be grazed nor guarded. So if you're within this interval, you can take everything down. Amazing. Bizarre, the fiend of the two-colored mantle, Toyo Satomimi no Miko. Well, Miko's on the Japanese yen, but it's less so that her entire existence was denied, but more so all of her exploits were denied as possible. Thus, in a roundabout way, it's also denying her existence. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that she could be a real person who did all these things. So even if she's on the money, like, not real kind of deal, right? Things slipping against Sokyo when people stop believing in them to be legit. Which is what happened to Miko. People stopped believing that everything that she did was legitimate. Like, it was all lies, all bullshit. We made it up. It's not real. And as a result, she slipped in against Sokyo. Isn't that fun? Bizarre, the fiend of the two-colored mantle, Toyo Satomimi no Miko, occult name Red Cape, Blue Cape. An all-purpose character that flawlessly combines physical attacks and projectiles, such as temporarily identity with what seeks throughout the world. Whether occult attack you want red or blue, hits the opponent if presents the opportunity of red or blue. When red raises attack power and blue raises projectile power. Utilizing this enhanced state to overpower the opponent is the duty of this character. So, the red paper and blue paper, I believe this urban legend goes like this. If you get asked if you want red paper or blue paper, if you say red paper, you turn to a bloody pulp. And if you say blue paper, you get strangled. And I think if you say... I've heard that if you say yellow paper, you get hit with both. You get strangled and then you get pulped. So, you know, I don't think you can win this one. I think this occult legend, this urban legend is a checkmate situation. I don't know if you can beat it. When her occult attack, yeah, I got that. Oh no, I didn't. Wait, yes I did. Almighty Taoist who works for the people, Toyo Satomimi no Miko. I have nothing against you personally, but allow me to use you as a guinea pig. A renowned figure in Taoist who was brought back to life in the modern day. To seek out the truth of the perfect possession incident, she joins hands with her business rival. Her goal is solving the mystery of the other perfect possession. Her fighting style changes based on her occult special move, which strengthens either her melee or her projectiles. The choice, however, rests in the opponent's hands. Grant them whichever terror they desire. Oh, your opponent picks what color her cloth is. Okay. Amazing. Miko card. Miko card. I enjoy that card. Trading cards, baby. She's so small. Like, look at her. Look at this. This is her in Symposium of Post-Mysticism. She's very small. Very small. And this is her in Wildhorn Hermit. Look at her. She's so small. Good lord. But then in the fighting games, her sprite is so, like, you know? Like, it's so pronounced. She strikes poses. She has so much swagger. But then in the written works, she's fucking squishy. Why is she so squishy? Alright, well, obviously she's going up here. Because she's sick. She's super cool. Can you imagine someone looking like that preaching to you about Taoism? Won't be able to take your eyes off her. Alright. And now, Mamizu. Butatsuiwa. Alright. Do you think Mamizo laughs like nyahaha, or do you think she laughs like heh heh heh? How does she laugh? Or maybe she goes kuh kuh kuh, because that one's weird. That's like an old person laugh, right? Alright. 10 desires. Extra boss Bakitanuki with 10 transformations. Mamizo Futatsuya, Bakitanuki, abilities disguising things and herself. A Bakitanuki of proper upbringing, an unusual yokai that lived outside of Gensokyo. She made her way inside this time to help out an old friend in a pinch. Tanuki take great pleasure in watching the reactions of humans that they trick, so they seldom do direct damage. They are more powerful on the night of the full moon. Their ability to shapeshift makes them similar to the Nue in a way. Neither of them seem to be terribly effective yokai when it comes to close combat. Can this kind of yokai really hold their own against Miko? After all, yokai are fairly self-centered and don't take or give orders easily. So no matter how strong each one of them may be, they'd still lose in the end. It seems she'd lived together with humans in her hometown of Sato. Sometimes she'd trick them and she'd always lend money to the poor and worked diligently on any task she was given, so she integrated well into human society. However, she doesn't get along with foxes, so it is rumored that no foxes live in Sato. She would end up causing trouble with the foxes against Sokyo, but that is a story for another day. Still waiting for that, by the way. Still waiting for that day. She integrated into human society. That's really it, though. Hopeless Masquerade. Humans turn emotionless when it becomes the dead of night. The cause of this was out of 66 masks of the Menareki, one of the Mask of Hope had been lost. It seems there were several solution strategies being advanced. When she heard about them, she went to the religionist to ask about what happened afterwards. Invade the yokai Tanuki from space. Mamizo Futatsuya. Occult name MIB. Yeah, it's Mamizo in black. She'll crush you together with her Bakitanuki underlings. The Bakitanuki will retire as they get hit, though, so as you fight, please use them roughly, only in moderation. Her occult attack is Alien Capsule. Be careful arranging underlings who have been put into capsules. You can freely counterattack at any time. Thank you, Exim, for the resub. And Phantasmagoric and Shrewd Bakitanuki Mamizo Futatsuiwa. I'll be the master. It's in both of our best interests. A yokai Tanuki general who came to the outside world. Those who master the possession battles will master the incident itself. She aims for the title of the strongest perfect possessor with a partner whose interests align with hers. Her strength in numbers fighting style using her yokai Tanuki is superb, but don't take care of her minions. They'll get knocked out But if you don't take care of her minions, they'll get knocked out and she'll be left all alone. There aren't really any foxes in Touhou. Ron is a kitsune, but Ron is like a full-fledged shikigami. So even though she is the body of a kitsune, the kitsune itself is more or less gone, fully possessed by Ron. Yeah. So there was the fox that pretended to be Marissa, and then there's Tsukasa. A tube fox and a regular fox. The fox that pretended to be Marissa is the first instance, but also like not effectively a character with a name. It's weird. But when we got Tsukasa, and Tsukasa lives up to the tricky nature of foxes for sure. Mamizo and having an interaction with Tsukasa would be interesting. Based on that for sure. For a long time it was Mamizo and Ron, but again, like they do have a conflict in nature, but Ron is not really a kitsune. She's only a kitsune in physical appearance. So I don't know if it would really fit, you know? Like, I'm sure fan stuff has obviously taken advantage of this and gone with and done it anyway. But the fact of the matter is, in Canada, if those two interacted, it probably wouldn't really. I don't know. It probably wouldn't turn out the way you think it would turn out. That's all. Anyway, honestly, It's like there's just enough for both, but I don't know if I'd call it sick. She lives on Sado with the people. Old Tommy Nook. The Raccoon Goons. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd say something like, give me more characterization, but Mamizo is like the third main character nowadays. So she shows up a lot. But this Omake text, it's like, it's on the cusp of both for characterization and universe lore, but it's surprisingly small and not very, like, explained, I guess. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I don't think it's that interesting, but I think it's interesting enough to warrant a neat, I guess. But not interesting enough to call it sick character lore or cool universe lore. Huh. Alright. Well, now we're moving on to 13.5. Kokoro, koro, koro, kokoro. Here she is. The poofy one herself. Huh. No! Hopeless Masquerade description and player selection. Around and around she changes emotions. In contrast to that personality, her actual face is emotionless. That is to say, to be the reason she cannot maintain her self-identity. After receiving the diagnosis, she sets out on a journey to learn facial expressions of humans and yokai. Yes, speaking of learning, it can only mean that one thing. Alright. The expressive poker face, Hata no Kokoro, species Manreiki, ability to manipulate emotion. A yokai created after a long time had passed from the masks used by the father of the Sarugaku performance, Hata no Kaurakatsu. Each mask depicts an emotion, and putting on a mask will change one's emotions. These emotions influence those around the wearer as well. Yeah, so Hata no Kaurakatsu is like basically the god of no. Introducing Japan to performances like no, so he's kind of a big deal. And the masks he used are what Kokoro is based on. She's a Sakumogami of those masks, which is what was just read, so I don't know why I'm reiterating. She has a total of 66 masks. Each and every mask has an emotion assigned to it, but since they are quite too many, she normally only uses the masks for the 4 emotions of joy, anger, pathos, and humor. Because her story is discussed in detail in game this time, not all of it will be discussed here, but the incident began with her Mask of Hope being lost. The reason why it was lost is unknown, probably just an accident, but its influence is what's caused the sudden rioting. Originally, she stabilized herself by having each emotion hold their balance with each other, but losing just one mask caused her emotions' original powers to interfere with each other, and she went berserk. In fact, when she stabilized, she hardly let any emotion show. She shows interest in nothing, and aside from when her masks are required, she just quietly acts as a Sakumogami. Because of that, some say that when she goes berserk, she seems more human-like. An urban legend in Limbo. Shiver, the no-mask woman of nightmares, Hata no Kokoro, occult name the Kuchisake Onna. As she uses her finishing move, she switches modes. She's an emotionally unstable character whose projectile performance and such go through dramatic changes. Her occult attack aesthetic counter is an all-purpose body blow technique that grants 1 counter to the opponent when they've been attacked at least once per round. Once successful, it changes to a shooting attack that fires aura blades. Expressionless and emotional Manreiki, Hata no Kokoro. This isn't good. I can't read this person's emotions at all. A Manreiki who can manipulate any emotion. Her power to control emotions was linked to the incident in an unexpected way. Having been scouted out for this reason, she devotes herself to fighting in the possession battles. A technical character who can change her fighting style by changing her emotions. Those who master control of her emotions will master control of the battle. Alright. Emotionally unstable. Hata no Kokoro. Alright, whatever you say. Whatever you say, son. It's your character, my guy. Your character. Yes. Alright. So what did we learn? Nothing. Really. That was a surprisingly little amount of information. Like, her Omake is the game plot. That's it. She lost her masks. It's kind of unfortunate. She lost her masks and her emotions went berserk. She's a Sakumogami of the masks. There's not really a lot there about her, personally, and I don't know. I feel like there could be more. There's some things in written works that kind of go more into her. Like what she does at the temple and like the fighting game endings and stuff. She does their no performances. She has a Naginata, which is cool, but that's not really talked about. She has that new mask of hope that looks like Miko's face, like drawn in One Punch Man style. It's goofy. I don't know. I feel like there could have been more there, especially compared to the other fighting game exclusive characters. Anyway, up next is Fish. Welcome to the Fish. That is very small, but that is very expected. Fish time. Stage 1 boss, the mermaid living in fresh water, Wagisaki Hime. So, wanna know something funny, chat? I get this character's name wrong a lot. It's Wakasagi. I call her Wagasaki all the fucking time. All the time. And I don't think I'll ever be able to correct myself on that because I've been saying it that way for so long. Wakasaki Hime. Species mermaid. Ability to grow in strength when underwater. A quiet and composed freshwater mermaid. Normally a quietly living yokai that sings songs and picks up stones. They are not an enemy of humans. For some reason, she seems to be plotting to overthrow her superiors. What could have brought about this change in her state of mind? And then the next one. She was affected by the Miracle Mallet's magic power, became ferocious, and was punished by Reimu and company. She's behaving herself once again by now. Come on, Nezun. Come on now. That's it? She's happy, she's quiet, composed, and likes singing songs and picking up stones. Bars. Bars, bars, bars. Next is Bonky. Oh, that's just a small. Okay. The Rokurokubi horror, Seki Bonky. Species Rokurokubi, ability to make her head fly. A yokai who lives in the human village taking the guise of a human. Her ability to make her head fly is convenient in various ways. Her personality is slightly prideful, and she's recalcitrant. Recalcitrant? Recalcitrant. Having an obscenely uncooperative attitudes towards authority or discipline.
Recalcitrant.
Rebellious, huh? Recalcitrant.
Recalcitrant.
Recalcitrant. Okay. Recalcitrant. It's a new word unlocked. New word unlocked. Towards both humans and yokai, it seems she takes a somewhat cynical view of things. The previous summer, the religious leaders have been causing riots in the human village. While the humans and yokai have been rising up, though, she was living quietly by herself, viewing the fads in a negative light. However, this time, she went berserk for some reason. You know what that reminds me of? This. This was Senki Bonky during 13.5. This was her. That's what I thought of when I read that line. She was just watching it all go down in the human village. Alright. Stage 2 boss. This is the Omake text. Let me see. She was affected by the Miracle Mallet's magic power, became ferocious, and was punished by Reimu and company. She's behaving herself once again now. Wow. Give me more. Give me more Bonky lore, please. Oh, what's her name? Oh, fuck. There we go. There we go. Kagero. Alright. Hoi oi oi. The only thing I got out of that is that she's bathed in cynicism, and she's a bit of a rebel, a bit of a brat. Stage 3 boss, the bamboo forest, Loop-Gado. Kagero Imaizumi. Species, Wolfwoman. Ability to transform into a wolf on the night of the full moon. Hey, Link can do that too. A person with a calm personality, even when she transforms into a wolf, her composure isn't lost. I thought one of the main aspects of this character was that she lost her composure when she transformed to a wolf. It seems that there are many yokai related to the moon in the bamboo forest of the lost, perhaps because people from the moon build a mansion there. She is one of those yokai. By the way, she is a were-honshu wolf, a species extinct in the outside world. She lives quietly, hiding her skin as if concerned that she'll turn up all hairy on the night of the full moon. This time she goes berserk for some reasons. This reached Reimu's ears, and she was exterminated. Alright. She was affected by the Miracle Mallet's power, became ferocious, and was punished by Reimu and company. She's behaving herself once again by now. Jesus, what a useless Omake text to have there. What is the point of that? Seriously. Nothing. These characters get nothing, but they're beloved. They're beloved! My beloved characters! But speaking of characters who get nothing, next is Ben Ben. Ben Ben. Alright. Stage 4 bosses. The Tsukumogami of the aging Biwa. Ben Ben Tsukumo. Tsukumogami of the aging Koto. Yatsuhashi Tsukumo. Species Tsukumogami. Ability capable of making sounds and performing on their own. A pair of Tsukumogami, each created from a traditional music instrument. Ben Ben plays the part of the cool, grown-up older sister, and Yatsuhashi plays the part of the hot-blooded, reckless younger sister. They're said to be sisters, but it's just because they became Tsukumogami at the same time. They're not blood relatives. They realized that the source of their power was the upside-down castle floating in the sky, and set their sights there. Their goal was to conquer the world with their fellow tools, social upheaval in other words. They dreamed of a utopia where tools can move freely and display their abilities to the fullest. However, that dream was prevented by Reimu and company. They still didn't give up though. When they realized that their thoughts had been influenced by the Miracle Mallet's magic, they tried using incantations to replace their power with a different magic power. And then the extra stage mid boss, Tsukumo sisters. The two learned that the source of their power was the magical power of the Miracle Mallet. What were they going to do? At this rate, they would return back to being mere tools. A hand of salvation reached out to this panicking pair. It was the Tsukumogami of a percussion instrument that they had never seen before. Yeah. Poor Ben Ben. So what did we learn, chat? We learned nothing. Just gonna put the entire cast of Touhou 14 in the please give more characterization zone. Now I have a feeling Yatsuhashi is gonna be the same because those entries were listed them as the Tsukumogami sisters. Yep. Yep, it's exactly the same. So they both are applied for that. Next though is the upside down chick. Here we go. Okay. Only one. That's surprisingly small, all things considered. I kind of thought that'd be bigger. Alright. Double dealing character, stage 5 boss counterattacking Amanojaku. Kijin Seiga. Species, Amanojaku. Ability capable of turning over anything. An Amanojaku that schemed for the lower to rule the higher. Amanojaku aren't Oni, but just a particularly twisted type of yokai. She's always thinking the opposite of what other people think. She likes what people hate, and falls into self-loathing when she makes them happy. She never listens to orders, even if she profits off something. She doesn't give anything in return. It's only natural that humans and yokai disliked her, but she was happy to be disliked. Her ambition was to turn over Gensokyo. She wanted to smash the current stable Gensokyo where the strong ruled the land and change it into one where the weak had more value. However, she didn't have the power to do that. Then she laid her eyes upon the treasure of the Inchlings, the Miracle Mallet. Pain! Pain! There's nothing here. There's nothing here again! God damn it! There's nothing here! The only thing that's here is that she's contrarian. She thinks an opposite. That's it. That's all I know about her. I don't think that's very sick character lore. I don't even think that counts as neat. She got her own goddamn game and everything. We're really just putting the entire cast of 14 down here. Alright. Shimmy. Nice. You can search Shimmy in the Touhou wiki and it takes you to Shimyomaru Sukuna. Redirected from Shimmy. Thank you. Alright. Wow, that's okay, that's a big one. Alright, I guess we care about this character, don't we, Zun? Stage 6 boss, Descendant of the Inchlings, Sukuna Shinmyomaru. Species, Inchling. Abilities, using the Miracle Mallet. A descendant of Isunboshi, she's able to use the Miracle Mallet. Her ancestor Isunboshi exterminated an Oni and obtained the Oni's treasure, the Miracle Mallet. That ancestor used it to gain a large body and a princess, just as the stories say. He didn't use the Miracle Mallet for anything more than that. What a Chad. The Miracle Mallet was an Oni's tool, and the miracles it caused were also a result of the Oni's power. Using it recklessly would bring up ruin upon oneself, he thought. However, after several generations passed, Isumboshi's mindset soon faded away. Then at one point, an incident occurred. The Miracle Mallet can grant any wish imaginable, so why aren't we using it? One of Isumboshi's descendants thought this, and at last broke the taboo. They lived in the lap of luxury thanks to the mallet's magical power, and then made one final wish. I want to build a luxurious castle and rule over the people. In a flash, a castle called the Shiny Needle Castle appeared as the Miracle Mallet's power ran out, and then tragedy struck. The Shiny Needle Castle turned on its head and was confined to the world of the Oni, taking the entire Inchling race with it. They sank down to a world where the people they wanted to rule over didn't exist. Thus, the existence of the Inchlings passed out of human knowledge. The Miracle Mallet was an Oni's tool. In exchange for granting a wish, it would extract a payment equivalent to it. A wish that was too big could have its payment occur but even before it being granted. The Inchlings realized this, and the Miracle Mallet was sealed once more. So the Miracle Mallet has a law of equivalent exchange applied to it. I didn't know that. A long time passed since then, and we now come to the present day. All the people among the Inchlings who spoke of the past had long since passed away. As a result, Shimyomaru Sakura didn't know about the mallet, and Amanojaku Seiga then laid eyes upon her. In order to satisfy her ambition, Seiga planned to utilize the Miracle Mallet, because only the Inchlings could wield the mallet. She decided to use Shimyomaru, who knew nothing of it. A humiliation suffered by the Inchlings, the power of the Miracle Mallet, and the yokai of Gensokyo who were responsible for that humiliation. Seiga was always a well-spoken Amanojaku, but she fed Shimyomaru a false history. The two of them swore to take revenge. Now let's build a paradise where the weak won't be disposed of. However, Shimyomaru still didn't know about the Miracle Mallet's price. Reminds me of Axel and Roxas. Of course, I don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts. I only know 358 over 2 days. I know. First of all, I know. If you know anything about Kingdom Hearts and you hear me say that and you want to say, bruh, I know, I get it. I understand. That was my first and only Kingdom Hearts game. Well, it's the fact that Roxas showed up and Axel showed up and started like implanting false memories into Roxas, talking to him, convincing him of things. I don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts lore. I just remember that Axel would always talk about Roxas as if they did things in the past, but like they didn't, because Roxas is Sora as nobody or something like that. So the idea that you make a close friend like that, they make a friend like that, but you know they're being used for some reason and being told things, a false history. Seiga and Shimmy, weird circumstances. Seiga tried to use her. So for the mallet. Shimmy didn't even know the Miracle Mallet's price. It's an interesting relationship how that came to be. I don't know. All I know is that he would always talk to Roxas like they've been buddies forever. But I don't think they were buddies forever. But it's been a long time since I played that game, and also that game is very strange. It's Kingdom Hearts. Come on, give me a break. It's Kingdom Hearts. I've only played the spin-off game, and it's Kingdom Hearts. Even if I did play every game, it wouldn't make any fucking sense. Let's be real here. My only, like, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. I had, like, you can play as all the organization members in mission mode, and there's a few organization members that are in the tutorial missions that never show up again. There's like 5 characters who take Roxas on a tutorial mission, and then they never show up in the game again, and I have no idea why. I was so confused. I assume they were like bosses or something that just died at some point. They just died at some point or whatever, because I don't know Kingdom Hearts story at all. But like 5 different members of the organization just ceased to exist in the entire game after the tutorial. Weird. Huh. Where am I? Urban Legend in Limbo. Dupious, Inchling and Green. Shimyomaru Sukuna, a cult named Little Green Men. An Inchling who fights with the greatly mysterious Miracle Mallet and a fencing needle. Although petite is one word to describe her. With her dynamic full-body attack, she regains her reach. A character that fights by scratching the opponent while going around them. Her cult attack, Green Men, Green Light. They call for it, little green men quietly watching over the opponent, and when the opponent finally turns their back on them, they pounce, attacking mercilessly. Fairy Tail S, the bull riding Inchling, Shimyomaru Sukuna. Do you think you've already won? Today I've made the strongest helper around into my slave. A member of the Inchling race who wields the Miracle Mallet. In order to dominate the possession battles, she ventures around in search of the strongest partner. In the end, the partner she chose was someone absolutely outrageous. A speed character who scurries about with her small form and fast movement. Her melee moves that use her bow and needle are truly formidable. How did the castle even arrive in Gensokyo is the question. There's a lot of unanswered questions here. Well, there's the lore. The lore explains that the castle was created, flipped upside down, and sunk to the world of the Onis. But was the world of the Onis Gensokyo? I don't think so. But it managed to show up there. However, Sukuna doesn't even know what the Miracle Mallet is. I don't even know what Sukuna's whole deal is prior to her being talked to by Seiga anyway. Does she, like, what exactly does Shimmy feel about the world? Because, from what I see, the reason Shimmy feels the way she does is because Seiga fed her some bullshit. A humiliation suffered by the Inchling, the power of the Miracle Mallet, and the yokai of Gensokyo who were responsible for that humiliation. So Seiga blamed all the misfortune of her race on those of Gensokyo, which caused Shimi to take up the mallet in revenge. So, why would she do that? Why would she do that if Seiga didn't lie about that? I don't understand. Shimi doesn't really have a reason to go against people like that, but she was told that all of her race's disgraces, bars, belong to that of the yokai of Gensokyo, which is why she doesn't even know anything about the mallet. She just knows about its power. She got sweet-talked into it. Where does it say she wants to prove herself? I don't see anything about that. There's nothing about what she was doing. She's just chilling. It's literally just she's chilling and then Seiga shows up and spouts bullshit to her. And then she's like, alright, time to attack. She was spurred into action by bullshit. Either way, pretty cool lore. For the universe, anyway. Not very much for Sukuna herself. Huh. Alright. Moving on to Raiko. Whatever. Whatever, I don't care. Ba-ba boom. EX stage boss, the phantasmal percussionist, Horikata Raiko. Species, Sakumogami. Ability capable of making anything follow a rhythm. She's a Sakumogami created from the Japanese taiko drum. You know, da-dong. She lived for a while, feeling joy when struck by people. Now, I want to make it very, very, very clear when I say this. That line, I understand exactly how it sounds, but you gotta remember, she was a drum. She was a drum, a drum, a drum, a drum. She was a drum! However, she began to feel a strong new magical power within her. At the same time, ferocity flared up in her mind. Now is the time for the tools to take revenge, she thought. She was wise, though, and quickly realized that the power was that of an Oni, i.e. the Miracle Mallet. She felt that at this rate, she'd be completely taken over by it. She took a big gamble. She threw away the taiko drums that made up her body and the drummer that held the magic power, and sought a new magic power of her own. This was in the forbidden outside world as well. Huh. Thus she obtained a new drum kit and a new drummer as well, thanks to the outside world's magic power, obviously. None of the Oni's power is left in her body anymore. Even if the Miracle Mallet enters its reabsorption period, she won't turn back into a regular tool. She taught this method to the other Sakumogami around her. Even if we're tools, we want to have fun of our own will. Now, shall we go build a paradise for tools? She said as nothing happened afterwards. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. There's nothing happened after this. I mean, she went and she joined a band. She joined a band, so there's that. Where do I put that? Not really anywhere, huh? Zun, give me more, please. Now, there's a little bit there. As we know, Raiko figured out that her powers were by the mallet's abilities or powers, whatever. And so she ended up finding a new source of power on the outside. Listen, this tier list isn't really based on my opinions of characters. It's based on how interesting the informations in the Omake text is for the characters. I mean, I don't really like Kaneko, but she's up there because it's very interesting. I can put my own biases aside when I need to. And there was actually a lot in there in Seiga's Omake that I did not know. I had no idea about any of that. I was actually quite impressed by how much lore was given to that character. Speaking of impressive, here comes Sumireko! Woo! Oh, I cannot wait to read hers. That is fucking massive. All right, let's go. Are you ready? Expose the esoteric. The Secret Sealing Club's first president, Sumireko Usami. Species... species high school girl. What? That's not a... Who wrote this? Capable of manipulating psychic powers. She was a genuine psychic. What happened to her? Thanks to the sense of omnipotence common to use who further their knowledge via the internet. What? What? Let me try that sentence again. Thanks to the sense of omnipotence common to youths who further their knowledge via the internet. Any of my boys in chat? Have any of my boys in chat obtained true omnipotence by browsing the internet? And to the talent she was born with. Oh, okay, right. Okay, so it's a combination of browsing the internet and natural born talent. It's like I guess it's like a 0.1 to 99.9% split, but the egregious internet browsing is still part of the equation. She began to think that she was superior to other people, particularly around the time she was in middle school. Oh no. You telling me Sumireko had a 8th grader syndrome phase? I mean, she's still living it. It wasn't to say that friends were useless or anything, it was just that they were useful to have from a simple knowledge standpoint. What she really thought was that friends are beneficial for the sort of people who actually need them, like the sort of people who want others to flock around them. In the back of her mind, she mocked them. Holy Jesus Christ, this character. Thus, unable to make any friends, although she herself would frame it as, I didn't make any because I just don't need any, she lived a school life that others would view as tragic, but she herself was enriched by. It was around that time that she began research of her own, why she could use psychic powers, occult phenomena, that which we call urban legends, etc. In particular, she developed a strong interest in worlds separated from her own. Hold on, I love this character. When she entered high school, her lifestyle instantly changed. She was a model student, not uncommon for people such as her, and as a result, she advanced to a somewhat isolated private prep school. The school gathered students from all over, having been separated from their previous relationships. They strove to construct those relationships anew. As such, many people tried to strike up friendships with her, model student that she was. Her stiff attitude may have contributed to her appeal. I see. However, she was convinced that she was of a different sort than the other humans around her. Other people, as far as she was concerned, may as well have been demons plotting to form regular relationships with her in order to drag her down to their level. In a smart move, she deliberately gathered people around her so as to drive them away. She formed an unauthorized occult circle, the Secret Sealing Club. Just as she expected, nobody came up to her saying they wanted to be friends anymore. The Secret Sealing Club was a circle dedicated to exposing the secrets of other worlds with their own power. As a result, she made contact with the deep secrets of the world. And so various things occurred from there. And as a result, she became able to enter the world of dreams. There, she was made to realize that all of her knowledge was only superficial. Experience is the real truth of this world, and her pursuit of factual knowledge was only something to cover for this. And in that dream, she at last met people who she couldn't look down on. Thanks to that dream, no, thanks again Sokyo, she found herself starting to think that maybe making some friends wouldn't be so bad after all. I like how she made a club. She made a club, I call it the Secret Sealing Club, and then nobody wanted to be her friend anymore. Oh, man. However, there was one thing that remained incomprehensible in the end. Out of all the power stones that she set up in order to open the door to the other world, one single stone seemed to have been switched with another. Whose doing was this? In the first place, the urban legends manifesting and spreading throughout Gensokyo were not something she had planned. The urban legends had taken action such that a hole would be broken in the barrier. In the end, but was that really just a coincidence? Perhaps someone had been attempting to break the barrier from the inside. Had her power stones been used for someone else's purpose? She never did figure it out. Mystic and troublesome female student Sumireko Asami. Well, you sure are acting weird, Reimu. I'd like to go to Korindo today if you don't mind. A modern high school girl with psychic powers. She has the ability to visit Gensokyo in her dreams, but the Gensokyo she saw today was utterly different from usual. A zoning character who fights with her ESP, able to catch opponents anywhere without moving. Bury your opponents in a mountain of rubble and rain down on all sides. Alright, well, I'll tell you right now. She's going right up here. Right up here. I just learned so much about Sumireko Usami. This Omake in 3 different areas mentioned about her and her state of friends. Over 3, actually. Oh, man. I didn't know. I had no idea that she was a model student, though. Fucking Sumireko, man. Well. Time for Seirin. The Wascally Wabbit. Alright. Her game isn't the best, let's put it lightly. But you're right. Stage 1 boss, the Pale Blue Eagle Ravai, Seirin. Species, Moon Rabbit. Ability, capable of firing bullet from a different dimension. What? Hold on. Really? What does that even mean? Firing bullets from a different dimension? That sounds rad as fuck. Why did I not know this? An underling treated with as much respect as a cannonball. There's a situation here. The term used here is Yakuza slang for a low-ranking gang member who isn't expected to make it out of their assignment alive. Also used as slang for fictional character who exists just to get beaten up by the hero before stronger enemies appear. Damn! You're right, though. And amongst the members of the Eagle Ravai Earth Recon Unit, she has the most dangerous job, infiltration operations. She isn't paid much relative to the danger. Wait, moon rabbits are getting paid? All the moon rabbits have the ability to communicate via telepathy, but she never holds a decent conversation. It seems she was attacked as she was making mochi for her comrades while on break. Oh, typical Reimu behavior right there. Alright, let's see. She's been doing a lot of investigation, but still hasn't received an okay from the people of the moon. She's getting terribly sick of all this. Yeah, that's like, what the fuck is that ability? Firing bullets from a different dimension? That sounds sick. How does that work? Who knows? Zun, I need more informations. Alright, next is the Beatles reference. Chat, I'm gonna expose a dirty secret right now of myself. A dirty secret. I don't care much about crop tops. Not really my thing. But I've seen some Ringo art that has made me reconsider my stance. Let me just say that much. Let me just say that much. I've seen some art. Oh, baby. That's a tummy. Anyway, Lunatic Kingdom, Stage 2. Orange Eagle Ravai, Ringo. Species Moon Rabbit. Ability capable of becoming stronger by eating Dongo. Amongst the members of the Eagle Ravai Earth Recon Unit, she bears the most leisurely job, information management. She is a high-ranking post relative to the leisure. Perhaps because she's been gathering information, she's taken an interest in moving to Earth. Her duty is only to investigate. She's permitted to fight, but it's said that no need for her to actually win. Being an information manager, she actually knew that the lunar capital they thought they're currently residing in was actually in the dream world. However, she didn't know why such a situation had occurred. Perhaps if she found that out, she'd swiftly be dealt with. Oh yeah, they'd whack her. She sent the humans who came her way into the passages that connected to the dream world's lunar capital, and so doing, she indirectly investigated the matter. I see. Well, the please more characterization thing has exploded because Touhou 14. Yoshika was the only one in there from 13, and then all of the characters, because Touhou 14's character list is not explored like at all. It has a similar syndrome to Touhou 16. It has a similar issue to Touhou 16, but Touhou 14 is older, so there's more time for characters to like exist. And also, the characters in Touhou 14 are grouped up, so they get a little more representation together. Whereas all the characters in 16, minus On, I suppose, are kind of just characters that exist, and they, you know, they did either show up on their own or they don't show up at all. Like, you're never going to see Nemono anymore. Narumi never really shows up. On shows up, and Eternity shows up when fairies are involved. But for the most part, they're pretty much just loner characters that don't do anything. Doremi. Pillows, pillows, pillows. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-baku. Alright. Lily still doesn't have a portrait. Correct! Someday, though. She's got a card, though. Stage 3 boss, Ruler of Dreams. Doremi Sweet. Species, Baku. Ability capable of eating and creating dreams. A yokai who is often dreaming. She lives in the world of dreams. The dreams of all living creatures are, in fact, connected at the deepest levels. This is why, in dreams, you can visit places you've never seen, meet people you've never seen, and find glitches you've never seen either. Glitches, huh? She can erase, create, and switch out those very dreams. If one uses the dream world skillfully, they can go anywhere and become anything at all. She watches over the place to ensure that those who realize this don't disturb the order of things. Alright. Where am I? Under Sagame's orders, she recreated the lunar capital within a dream. Those heading to the lunar capital would be sent to the capital in the dream, thus the real capital was hidden. However, it seems that this plan was bothersome to her, and she didn't feel like playing along. Also, it had been over half a year already. There were still no signs of progress. What the? Whoa. Hold on. Hold on. Are you telling me the plot of Touhou 15 was going on for 6 months? What? They were on that shit for 6 months? I thought it was like, you know, a couple days. Like the Scarlet Mist incident, it took Reimu 2 weeks before she actually set out to do something about it. But 6 months? Damn. It was then that a visitor to the dream world arrived. Astonishingly, it was a human in the physical body. The people of the moon hate humans' impurity. On the surface, she couldn't guide any such humans to the lunar capital. Her true intent was to get a little bit of payback. So she sent the humans off to the lunar capital, just as they desired. There you go. Wow. Well, the lunar capital residents weren't made aware of the situation. And Ringo's Omake mentioned that if she knew the situation was happening, but she didn't know why. And it said if she knew why it was happening, she would have got whacked. So nobody knew. Now remember, the Lunarians mixed up their occult ball in the fray for the urban legend incident as a way to like connect the portal to against Sokyo. So they were being attacked for quite some time, and I guess they finally managed to find an opportunity to like do something about it, which then I guess got Eren's attention, and then something was then done with about it. Wow. And then Antinomy of Common Flowers. Dream bestowing yokai Doremi Sweet. My name is Doremi Sweet. I am the ruler of the world of dreams. A yokai who rules over the world of dreams. She normally stays cooped up in the dream world, but she's recently been seen against Sokyo. Just what does this mean in the end? Her special trait is her ability to pluck dream souls out of opponents with her attacks. The more she steals, the more powerful her urban legend becomes. You poor thing. Alright. Alright, so I'll be real with ya. I'm actually going to put this here in cool universe lore. So it gives a little bit of information on Dream World. It also gives a surprising amount of information that I certainly didn't know about the events of Touhou 15 leading up to. But there's not really much there about Doremi herself, other than the fact that she was just instructed by Sagame to do what she did. And then she got annoyed by it and then had a little bit of payback. So there wasn't much there in the way of character lore, but there was quite a bit there in the way of explaining why this character's, or why the thing was happening in the first place, I guess. Moving on to Sagume. Sagume. Alright. That's big. Oh, that's big. Okay. Alright. Stage 4 boss, the goddess who invites unfortunate slips of the tongue. Sagume Kishin. Species, Lunarian. Ability, capable of inverting a situation by speaking about it. A resident of the moon, she normally occupies a very important post amongst the moon people, and doesn't often show herself publicly. She can tentatively be classified as a divine spirit, but her nature is neither that of a god, nor an oni, nor departed soul. She doesn't usually talk much, but this is a result of her ability. When she speaks about any particular situation, particularly to those who are thought to be involved, the situation will begin to proceed in its opposite way. The power is similar to that of an Amano-jaku, but she is a divine spirit ranked far above Amano-jaku. Amano-jaku only speak contrarily, but in her case, with her words, the world acts contrarily. Should she try to accomplish something, it will end in failure. If something bad is occurring, she has the ability to find a solution. It's not as if the situation will always improve for her personally. She's truly a divine spirit whose words can lead to disaster, as the saying goes. To avoid the encroachment of impurity from Junko's attack, the sages of the moon froze the lunar capital. At the same time, they evacuated the people of the moon to the dream world. The capital within the dream world was just like the ordinary lunar capital that its residents imagined. The people of the moon residing there never doubted that it was the real thing. However, they certainly couldn't stay cooped up in the dream world forever. The longer a dream becomes, the more it can erode one's mind. 6 months, by the way. Thus, the sages proposed the lunar capital transfer plan as insurance. The lunar capital transfer plan was to purify against Sokyo and build a new capital there. To purify is to eliminate life and death. Yeah, funny word choice there you use for genocide. That is to say, they were going to annihilate all the living things on its surface. However, it wouldn't be easy. Their opponents were the yokai living against Sokyo. Can you believe people fucking defend these characters? People actually defend these characters. She thought that the spread of a particular urban legend against Sokyo would make a good shortcut. Using her power, she created a secret power stone. That power stone had the power to change the world with people's words. Just by being near it, rumors, i.e. urban legends that shouldn't exist, would materialize. A terrifying curio indeed. So Sagume is the one who created she created the power stone. But this power stone had the power to change the world, so it's her fault, mostly. I see. When the urban legends began to materialize, she simply had to wait for someone to spread one particularly famous urban legend, and that was the plan. That famous urban legend was the Apollo Project cover-up theory. Oh my god, you're serious? An unfounded rumor that NASA is hiding the truth of what they saw on the moon. That is to say, if a rumor spread that NASA was hiding information about the lunar civilization they saw, that very civilization, the lunar capital, would materialize against Sokyo. Okay. I thought that was going to be the urban legend that NASA faked the moon landing. No, it's not that they faked the moon landing, it's that they met aliens. They met aliens up there. However, this plan was no more than insurance. She wasn't totally serious about it, and none of the moon's people wanted to move to capital to begin with. Returning to the moon would be ideal. All the same, though, as much as they needed to fight back against Junko, they had no way of resisting her attack. It was then that one of Gensokyo's humans arrived. She never imagined that Dorami would send a human to the lunar capital, but decided to test the human's power anyway. She found they were very strong indeed. I'll place my bet on this human, she thought. If I speak the truth to them, the situation will reverse itself with them at the center. My capital migration strategy will fail, but since Junko's attack will also fail, we'll break even. It doesn't matter what this human will do afterward, as long as the lunar capital is saved. You wanna know what Sagame's plan was? This is Sagame's plan. Where are we at? There it is.
We should take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else.
Perfect. That was the plan. That was the plan. Was it a good plan? Who can say? But it was, in fact, the plan. Alright. What the hell? That's gotta be the Tory box, right? Yeah, it is. I think it's the credits theme. Well. Cool. Alright, I'm putting her up top because one, that's a lot of text. For one thing, that's a lot to do with, it's definitely more universe-centric, but it also explains her power. It explains her power, and to be honest with you, I'm not really sure how else you could explain her power. It kind of does its job perfectly. Although this character doesn't really show up much because she's really hard to, write. She's kind of hard to write, is all. Alright, moving on. Peace. It's 7:30. How many I got left? Oh, not a lot. Clown piece. What? Huh. Huh. Chad, I just noticed something important. Look at this. Okay, so look at the clown. Alright? Look at the clown. Now, look at the clown. Huh. Huh. How about that? I never noticed she had sleeves in Visionaries. How strange. This one looks big, but it's just very, very spaced. Alright. Stage 5 boss, Fairy of Hell. Clown piece. Species fairy, ability capable of driving people mad. A fairy from Hell, one of Hecatia's subordinates. Fairies can be found just about anywhere. Hell is no different. However, the Lunarians eliminate fairies as they reject life and death. There are almost no fairies around the lunar capital. Under Hecatia's orders, she filled the Sea of Tranquility with fairies she brought with her from Hell. Thanks to her and her friends, the Sea of Tranquility was transformed into a fairy playground. Then, thanks to Junko's ability, they were awakened. They can be said to be a mass of totally pristine life energy. If you play around here, the Lunarians will be unable to act. As long as nobody goes and sullies themselves with impurity, they'll be completely trapped. That's what she was told, so she had played to her heart's content. The lunar surface was a desolate world, but compared to Hell, it was beautiful and fun. The fairies played and frolicked. Just by doing that, the Lunarians were bound in place. Though the lunar capital showed no signs of action for a long time, a human flew over from there at last. If anyone comes from the lunar capital, go wild. Do anything you like. As she remembered being told that, she was ecstatic as she could be. So, here's what I learned. Nothing. There was no information on Clown as a character, but that's okay because Visionaries exists. Visionaries is great. It's very great clown lore. But all of that Omake text is just universe lore. It's game lore. Now we're moving on to Junko, and Junko's is probably going to be fucking massive. Here we go. Okay, well, yeah, that's pretty big. Alright. Stage 6 boss, Nameless Being, Junko. That's a name, my guy. Species, divine spirit, ability capable of purifying anything. A being who holds a deep resentment for the Lunarians. She herself is a spirit who has been purified by that resentment. But by now, she has no need even for information on what exactly she is. She has a deep grudge against Chang, I don't know how to pronounce this fucking thing. Time to learn. Chang. How to pronounce Chang. Please. Okay, hold on. Pronounce it, please.
Is a planned orbit.
It's Chang'e 4.
Chong. Is that it?
It's Chang'e 4.
Chang'e? Is that really how you pronounce it? Chang'e? Huh. Chang'e. Wow. Wow. Okay. Chang'e. One of the Lunarians. Details are included in one of the game's endings, so things will be kept brief here, but it seems that she calmed her rage against the sages by repeatedly attacking the lunar capital. Her first grudge came about when her husband killed her child, but said grudge had already been purified to the point where her anger stands on its own. Her existence is unknown to all but a select few of the Lunarians. It was hardly necessary for them to live in fear of her after all. It is unknown if Chang'e had full knowledge of who she is, but she's likely aware of her to some extent. Chang'e doesn't appear in the game itself, but she's a goddess of the moon imprisoned in the lunar capital. She rules over the moon rabbits and is extremely powerful, but she doesn't show herself publicly. She's also a criminal who drank the Hodai elixir. Junko's plan to attack the lunar capital was as follows. I'll fill the near side of the moon with fairies whose life force I purified, turning the moon itself into a planet with life on it. Thus, the lunar capital's residents will have no choice but to flee. Then I'll seize that opportunity and shoot Chang'e down as she's escaping. Oh, I see. The plan went well. The Sea of Tranquility began to fill with life. Oh wait, the lunar capital was first founded by people who migrated to the moon to escape the Earth's impurity, life force. Junko was going to cause the same thing to happen to the moon. The plan went well. The Sea of Tranquility began to fill with life. It seemed that the fairies from hell thought the moon would be paradise. That's how awful the environment in hell must have been. Bro, I fucking love this soccer mix for Kaguya's theme. It's like, it's like, what do you call it? It's like cell phone ringtone core. It just goes in. The Lunarians couldn't raise a finger against her planet with life plan. This part right here. I love this part. However, Junko knew. The Lunarians would hardly wait around near all that impurity and would flee into the dream world. Anticipating this, she sent one of her friends over there as well. Just as she planned, but perhaps not quite as expected. The Lunarians showed no sign of action for over half a year. Junko was again at a loss as to how to attack the lunar capital. Both sides were locked in a stalemate. As her anger gradually began to settle, she thought she might have to reconsider her course of action. It was then that a human of all things appeared before her, not just any human, but one whose impurity had been wiped clean away, likely due to the effects of some drug. They did not abhor life, but no life could be felt from them. She never imagined that they'd come up with such a plan to send a human in, but she felt at ease. The Lunar Sages had done something she never expected, so she could at least enjoy that fact. And thus, her current revenge drama came to a close. What a perfect song. Light at the end of the tunnel. Perfect song to show up at the end of that. Alright, so yeah, she attacked the lunar capital. We know why. Her motivations as the character. I would actually put that up top here. I would actually put this up top here with the high tier. Because it explains her plan, her methods, and, you know, her planning. But also the reason why she's doing it. It's not... I wish there was a little more characterization to her. But honestly, I think for what you get here, it's actually pretty solid. You learn a little bit why she's doing the things she is. And also her attitude towards it as time goes on. And the bit at the end about how she interacts with the player character when they finally reach her. Now for her friend. The character whose most people's first look at her design was like, what? And then it grew on them. That's all. It grew on me. See? Chat, what's your favorite Hikatia? Blue? Yellow? Red? I like the blue one. But I like the red one. And the yellow one. In other words, I like Hikatia. Plain and simple. Alright. Okay. EX Boss, Goddess of Hell, Hikatia Lapis Lazuli. Species god, ability capable of having 3 bodies. A mysterious god who governs the hells of the moon, the earth, and the other worlds. She has a separate body in each of the 3 worlds and can act independently from... Oh, I gotta turn that down, sorry. She's a separate body in each of the 3 worlds and can act independently with each of them. Also, since the moon, earth, and the other worlds each have their own hell and her core soul resides in hell, she's a rather troublesome god who can't easily be retaliated against if viewed as an enemy. The dream world falls under other worlds, by the way. She too is a god that hates Chang'e, because you see, Chang'e's husband was the person who shot down the suns, i.e. Apollo, in the first place. Hell would be unable to exist without the sun. Without strong light, the darkness of hell would weaken too. That said, though, her hatred of Chang'e is mostly due to Junko's influence anyway. Her friend hates Chang'e, so she hates her too by proxy. Junko's current plan required someone who could freely control fairies, as well as someone who can move freely to and from the dream world. These conditions fit her perfectly. She and Junko hit it off immediately, and it was to her merit that she greatly enjoyed fighting to begin with. I like how these two, Junko and Hikatia, found common ground in hating people on the moon. That's how you make friends, apparently. You can make friends with all-powerful deities and beings just by saying you hate the moon. Sign me the fuck up. She also allowed Junko to freely use her subordinate, Clown Piece. And so the moon's people escaped into the dream world. She filled the surroundings of the dream world's fake lunar capital with life. Thus, the people of the moon were completely suppressed. All that was left was to shoot down Chang'e. But all of a sudden, she received a notice of defeat from Junko. It seemed that the people of the moon came up with a strategy that ran circles around hers. Namely, a purified human who had become free from death. The strategy to send a human of the ultramarine orb to the moon. Neat. I hate the moon. We hate the moon. Alright, alright. So, where would I put that? Let me see. I would put that up top as well, honestly. I would. And the reason for that is, similarly to Junko, it explains the plan that they had for the events of the game, but it also explains a little bit about how, of why Hikati is helping her in the first place. Very, very little bit of how they met. I mean, we don't really know how they met, but we know that how they interacted in the first place. Her body, I didn't realize that she had separate bodies in each of the 3 worlds, and she basically calls upon them and can act independently of each of them. So that means she can move all 3 bodies independent of each other. They don't all move at the same time. It's not like Flandre's 4 of a kind, or kind of like it is, but I guess it's better. It's better than that. So she's hard to actually fight because her core soul resides in hell, but she is present in all different kinds of hells. She's confusing. She's very confusing, but she's really cool. And yeah, I gotta say, when I first saw her, her outfit made me giggle, and I was like, what? But I've definitely grown. She's grown on me over time, for sure. She's neat. Kind of like this song. What is this? Strange Oriental Discourse. I see. Well, there you go, chat. So that's all for now. So what are we at left? We have 16, 17, 18, and written works. So that's definitely one more stream. That's got to be one more stream, I promise you. What did we do today? We did half of 12, 13, 14, 15. So I can do 16, 17, 18, and then written works fighting games. That should be, I should have enough time for all of that for next time. I am shocked this is taking so long. I am honestly shocked this is taking as long as it is. Oh man. Totetsu does not have a Omake. There's no Omake for 17.5. It's kind of a shame. She does? Oh. I thought none of the other characters had Omake for that game. It's the only Omake there. Oh, I see, I see. Okay. Thank you for the raid, Christian. I'm actually going to be moving to the next segment now. So, yeah, there's progress for now, chat. You know the drill. Let me just... Hold on, just let me get the perfect thumbnail shot for myself. There you go. So, yeah, I will finish this next time for sure. next week I will finish this off. But I gotta say I have learned a lot about different characters at this point. I still remember Suiko's stuff. Some of this information might slip out of my ears at some point in time, but there was a lot of things I learned here, and I'm glad I'm doing this. I've come to appreciate some characters more as well, just in general. And I also come to realize how many characters really need some more characterization, please. Come on, Zun, throw me a bone. So yeah, next week, chat, we'll wrap it up. And then I can think of new content to milk out of tier lists. Ain't that exciting? Don't worry. It'll come when it comes.